Hello Leo, hello and welcome into your general tarot card reading for the first week of August, that is from the 1st to the 7th of August. And Leo, what do we have here? We have a Knight of Pentacles, we have High Priestess, we have Temperance, we have Five of Cups, we have Three of Swords, we have a Five of Swords. Sorry, there's a lot of fives. Ahead of you is the Seven of Pentacles, is Hermit, and Nine of Swords. So Leo, it looks like you moving on from something, and it almost feels like you are wiser by some kind of experience you went through. The experience might be kind of difficult, both on emotional level and on emotional, but also on psychologically was kind of challenging. It was challenging you as a person. So we have a Five of Cups over here. As you can see, there is, wow, what do you think you're going? There's a gentleman standing there crying or looking at the Three Cups, which they're being spelled, and then you have the Two Cups over here. So he's focusing on something has happened in the past, and is unable to look into the future and see what he has instead of focusing on what he doesn't. Then you have a Three of Swords, and Three of Swords, it might be emotional. Might be emotional pain caused by something that has happened, hasn't kind of worked out, and the question is over here how long you choose this kind of to cast the shadow over you. That it's up to you to make that decision. Are you going to drag it behind you or not? And Five of Swords over here, it's showing some kind of disagreement. If there was a victory, there was a hollow victory. It was like push and shove, verbal exchanges between people which there were nowhere, you know, I couldn't define them as nice. Presumably it's just some kind of form of verbal push and shove, and this kind of what you are leaving behind. Because you are this Knight of Pentacles and you're moving. Knights, they're representing development or movement, but Knight of Pentacles is the slowest of all knights. So what this knight is indicating, holding a pentacle over here, it's kind of long-term solution. It's long-term, you would like things to work a little bit better. And I'm not sure what that might be that week, because that might be, you know, something hasn't worked out in terms of relationship, your job, or a project. Who's to say? It's a general read. However, they say, you know, this is in the past and you seem to be moving on. The question is, are you going to willing to leave it behind you fully, or are you going to still being kind of, I'm hearing the haunted by the is that anxiety? I'm not sure, is that anxiety? Might be your pride could be dented, or you have this feeling of being I don't know how to explain this. But it almost feels like you were disappointed by some other people's actions, somebody else's action, and they really, whatever trust you had or belief in them, it has been diminished, or it's kind of gone. You, in terms of how you see it, you have a high priestess, so you're able to see almost like a silver lining. You're able to make sense out of it, which is good. and you know it's going to take time for order to things to move forward. What are you focusing on? You have Seven of Pentacles over here, you have a Hermit, and you have Nine of Pentacles, Knight of Swords. So you will be seeking some kind of advice. That might be a self-advice. That might be, you might be looking for somebody's advice who is professional within the field, and that might be everything from seeing you GP or bank manager to a psychologist or therapist. You choosing to invest in things, and you know the if that's going to be work or it's going to be some kind of long project, you are willing, you know it's going to take time for things to pan out, and it's going to take time for things to grow and develop, and you're aware of it, and maybe that's why you're going to look in and you're going to seek some kind of advice, and you're aware of it, but it's almost like you want to make an educated decision, or you want to make sure that decision you're going to be made is going to be right. It almost feels like whatever it's going to be, it feels like some kind of, you're going to invest, and that it's going to be a long-term investment. Nevertheless, you feel quite anxious about the situation, so whatever has happened is still affecting you. You might be waking up and you might be having feeling of anxiety or feeling yourself worry. And worry about the future because you don't know what the immediate future might bring. You know what the long term going to, what your expectations you have from the long term. You know things need time in order for you to benefit from the situation. So whatever that is, investment, let's say you invest money in property, you invest money in some kind of project, you invest, you're self-employed, or you invest in a job, or you're waiting to hear about the, are you going to get the job or not. Whatever it might be, Leo, it takes time, and you cannot reap the fruits as yet. So you're almost in that situation of in a limbo, because you don't know in which way things are going to kind of what will be the exact turn of events. And I think this is the key here. What they say, remain strong. The way how you see things, the way how you analyze things, the way how you almost have this belief, or that is not belief, this way of thinking that it's all for the better, and that is true. Actually, that is true. That it's whatever you created this kind of way of thinking why this has happened, and it feels like you might have this understanding that this has happened for the reason. This has happened for the reason. So what they ask you to do this week, to be patient. If you are making any kind of decisions, make sure that those decisions, that informed decisions, that you spoke with someone who is expert in the field and they're able to give you a right kind of advice. What they say, there's no point to worry about things that took place. It's almost what I'm getting, it's whatever has happened, because that looks quite unpleasant over here. It's going to have those echoes, and you haven't, maybe intellectually on a cognitive level, you might process this, but on an emotional level, this is kind of still there's some kind of echoes of it. You know what? In terms of this anxiety, this kind of feeling of fear about the future. They say in terms of worrying about the future. It's to focus about now and act. It's almost like what they're saying, there's a decision that has to be made, and decision is not easy. Decision, it's once again, it's almost like you are in between of two different things, and it's almost you have to cut off whatever has happened, and it might be rocky from some time, and it's almost like allow this thing to die off in order for you to move on, because you have a strength on the end. So what I pulled for the clarifiers, Ace of Swords, 5 of Coins, and that might be, you have to be aware that, you know, the situation ain't going to improve straight away, but it's going to be improved. There might be a little bit things might be kind of a little bit rocky, and then there's the 10 of Swords. So it's almost you have to face reality, accept it fully. And they say that you're in a process of still processing this, but you haven't kind of released whatever is to be released. And then there's a Strength, and Strength is saying that Leo it's addressing those fears and those phantoms, and the minute you're going to address, things will improve. Absolutely. Things going to come your way, things they're going to be in flux, but in order for things for being in flux, you always have to be forthcoming. You might be too conservative in your approach, and don't be afraid of give people what is due to them, but equally ask what is due to you. That voice coming through, Leo. I hope this reading has resonated with you. If it did, please let me know by commenting, liking, share. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we shall speak soon. You take care. Bye.